Hi, everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy. And wow, look at this panel I've got tonight. Mary Kircher Roddy is back from her travels and all sorts of things that she's been doing. Mary, of course, is from MKR Genealogy. We're so glad to have you.
Great
Mary,
to be back.
You look like you're moving or something. All those boxes behind you.
I know we are moving within the house.
Okay.
Taking over a bedroom to make it an office.
Okay, got it.
Taking over the sewing room instead of out of storage room. And,
yeah. Okay.
Well, we're glad that you took time out of that to join us tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We've got Melissa Barker, the archive lady, down there with her archives behind her. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Enjoyed the shows this week and looking forward to talking about it with all my friends.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be great. And of course, Shelley Murphy has joined us, Family Tree Lady. Hi, Shelley.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
We are good and ready to go. But before we do that, I have to first of all, our wonderful Gen friend, Mary Kircher Roddy, has earned her CG.
Yay! Gonna bow down.
Yeah, we're not worthy. We're not worthy.
That is a lot of hard work.
Yes.
We've kind of cheered her along as she was doing that, and it was just wonderful and fabulous to hear that announcement. And we haven't had you on so that we could congratulate you.
Thank you. You guys, I really appreciate your support, and you were there when I was kind of going through it and talking about it, or not, trying not to talk about it.
Problem. Exactly.
That's okay. We were here for you.
That's right. We always got your back.
But wait, as they say, there's more.
There's more. I'm excited. I can't wait for my copy.
This is
mine hasn't come either. I'm waiting for it.
I'm glad. I'm trying. My camera is mirroring, so y'all can read my relative shirt.
It's perfect.
And so this is the National Genealogical Society Quarterly Magazine. And Mary has an article in it. And on top of that, this picture on the front is your grandmother or great-grandmother?
Great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother. How wonderful is that? And listen, people, when I first found out about this magazine and I picked it up, I was a newbie baby genealogist. I was like, I don't understand any of this stuff. But let me tell you, get this magazine, start studying, and it doesn't matter if it's, people that you're researching or places you're researching, you will start understanding how to put together quality research. You'll see the sources at the bottom, see how people follow through and find their family. You've got all sorts of things in here, from DNA to, who's the daddy, or can I connect these people together? What is, quickly tell us, Mary, what's the topic on yours?
So it's about my great-grandmother's younger brother, and my great-great-grandmother died in childbirth when he was born.
Oh.
And so he's known by his family as John Ahern, but his aunt, his mom's sister, I think, offered to raise him. Her widowed brother-in-law now had 5 children and 160-acre farm, and she must have said, I'll take care of the baby.
Yeah, perfect.
And so he wound up adopting her name. And so when he died, he was killed in a railroad accident. Some of the articles call him one name and some of them call him a different name. And so I had to prove that the 2 people were the same. And then there's a little confusion too about his baptism, and there was no birth certificate. It was too early for that, and no death certificate from where he died. So it was interesting to prove who his parents were, and that this guy using 2 different names was really one person.
I can't wait.
So cool. I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to read it. And I know for those of you that don't know, there's some study groups that get together and we read different NGSQ articles. And they were making suggestions for next year, and I went, Mary's got one coming out, so I'm hoping it gets on the list. And then if it does, I'm calling you for insights so I know how to answer correctly. So, well, we need to move on to our genealogy TV for the week, and we're going to quickly go over A New Leaf, which had its 3rd episode on Saturday, and this was about a man named Joseph Carnegie. And what he wanted to know was,
is it Carnegie or is it Carnegie? They talked about that.
Yeah, what is really interesting, and I don't know if the name is the same, but in Camden, South Carolina, there's a Carnegie, and it's spelled, and everybody says it's Carnegie. They try to say Carnegie, say it wrong, and then they'll say it wrong, and then I can't say it right. It starts with a K, and I'm wondering if all these names
I bet they
came
are.
from the same. And it was interesting that they said it just depends on what part of the country that you're from.
And who corrects you.
And who corrects you, and also how the accent from whoever was saying it, the name started to be spelled and said. But anyway, he wanted to know if he was related. There was a family story that he was related to the famous Carnegie, whatever, whichever. You say tomato, I say tomato. People.
Yes.
So so he wanted to know if he was related, and I think this is really interesting because we've all got family stories, and sometimes we dig into them, sometimes we just accept them, and they're not true because we didn't look into them. But he really wanted to know. I mean, even to the point where he had taken or his father had been to Scotland and seen a house where this family was from, but there was no history there, so there was no way of knowing if they were connected. So, of course, Ancestry did its magic. First of all, they did the DNA test, and they had wondered if they were Scottish, and
he was Scottish.
He was 17%. Yeah.
17% Scottish. So that kind of, rang true a little bit. And then they started building out that tree. Boom, boom, boom. I love those trees. Man,
that was
I wish.
Awesome. Wouldn't that be nice if that really happened on ours?
Yeah.
Yes.
People watching this, if you haven't, it doesn't work that way. Okay.
No,
just so you know.
Not happen that way.
It's hard. Not hard. It's enjoyable work. It can be hard work, but it's enjoyable work because you're meeting your family. So know that it's going to take you longer than that. But anyway, so they did. And he had thought that his grandfather had maybe made up the name just to look
well,
good.
they weren't sure.
I know. They're thinking
Yeah,
he
they
was
just weren't sure.
He was kind of a rapscallion anyway, and so they thought maybe he had just made up that name. So, but it turns out there were Carnegies in that family line. And it ended up that he was like the 7th cousin, how many times removed? I mean, so they shared a great-grandfather. And so they were just very excited that at least, part of that story was true. And I liked it because they were showing these different, apparently he was a very nice man. He was very wealthy. This Carnegie man was very, very wealthy. And they said, who got all of his money? I mean, when you think you're related to that kind of family, you're, where's money? Am I in line now that I found out?
Yeah.
But he gave the majority of it away, all but about 10% away.
Yeah. There was the little note things, that pop up.
Yes.
And it said that he gave away the equivalent today of $5 billion.
Correct. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a lot of
I
money.
like that about
Isn't
the
that
show,
amazing?
though.
Yeah.
Where the little pop-ups.
So I don't know. Have any of y'all ever been into the hall to see it?
It wasn't the actual one, but in DC, I want to say there's a museum.
Oh, okay.
And, I was at a conference and I thought, and this was across from the hotel, and it was Andrew Carnegie is how I say it, Michigan, and Andrew Carnegie. And so it was some type of a museum there.
Oh, okay.
But the donations and the things that he has supported, he was one of the gentlemen on the History Channel, and the Men That Built the USA. He was one of those. If you watch that series a few years ago, because they had like the Rockefeller, Carnegie, and what was the other one? Shell Oil and all of that.
The Vanderbilts.
Vanderbilts, yeah. And so Andrew was one, and where his money was going was just, we're reaping all the benefits to it. We really are.
I haven't been to Carnegie Hall, but I've been to many Carnegie libraries.
The libraries or the museums. Yeah.
He said what was interesting is he supplied 7,000. There was an aspect of him. He I forget why, but he supplied 7,000 organs to churches. Across the United States. But I also, there was a lady that was talking to this guy, this young kid. She was actually from the Carnegie Museum.
Right, the museum.
And so, but what I really liked about this episode, and I've liked them all, I have the same concerns that Dr. Shelley has, but this was a young kid looking for his family, which I hope, like we talked about in the green room, the time slot when this is hopefully it's for geared towards younger people.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping it gets them going. But I like it because I think all of us as genealogists, we always wonder, are we related to someone famous?
Mm-hmm.
Even if we have their name or not.
Exactly.
But,
so,
but remember, he wanted to do this for his dad.
Exactly.
For his dad's birthday.
Yes.
Yes.
He wanted to
That
find
was
out.
his reveal was for
Yeah.
his dad.
And so that's what he did. They went and sat down with his dad and they revealed, guess what? The family story's true. It might not be that, direct line ancestor, but we are related.
Yes.
And then they discovered that the home that he'd gone to see
yes.
was right down the street from their ancestral family home.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool too. Really cool.
And weren't they going to schedule towards the end to go back?
I think so. Yeah, they were going to go back.
It was good. It was good.
So another, how I do like the stories of how did you even get interested in what are your questions and why do you want to know those questions? So I thought that was good. So if you've got family stories out there, research them, see if you can find out if they're true. You never know what you might find. You might find that they're not true, or you may find there's a little kernel of truth in there. And that always makes everybody happy to find out that some of that family lore really did happen in their family. So guys, we are at day 5 of relative race.
This one was a little much.
Was emotional. I tweeted that. I said, this is too much.
And let me tell our viewers a little secret. We don't normally record right after the show airs. So we have a chance to go back to recover, to stop crying, to process.
Yeah.
Because of different events this week, we had to just turn the TV off and get right on. So we'll try to make sure we're remembering the right storylines.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing. From the get-go, Team Green. Deshay's leaving. Her Uncle Gary says to her.
No.
Oh, God.
What did he say?
No.
Come on,
so
guys.
That I have a daughter that I'm looking for too. And I just went,
oh. And I thought, the first thing that went off in my head, oh my God, is he her dad? But no.
Yeah, it would have shown up in the DNA.
They did the DNA, so he's an uncle.
Yes.
And don't you know that she is going to help him?
Of course she is.
Of course.
Which links to the team Green.
Yeah.
Remember? The story there. Yeah.
It's gonna come out somehow. And he said, I was kind of hoping when I got the information that it was you, that's who was coming. Oh my gosh.
I know, it's just
you can hear this collective
yeah, we did.
In the relative race world, like what?
And that wasn't the first gasp in this show. Let me tell you.
Because for tonight it was her husband.
Yeah.
And that was the next one, but then to find out that his
so
Chris, she first cousin?
Chris was a second cousin.
Second cousin.
So
yes, that was what was shocking. That was the other gasp.
That was the other gasp.
Because she was adopted, and her 3 siblings were also adopted, and he was the first, Deshay's husband, the first relative she had ever met.
Wasn't that a turn? That was just a twist and turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did good on that. We got to tell Dan about that. They did. That was perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect.
But you know what? You know what kept going through my brain when, and I know we've met some other cousins, but remember, this is my first relative race. So when Chris met her, his second cousin, and I'm listening to him talk about, I thought I knew all my family and everything, and then, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how many of us genealogists have actually, because what do? We try to go as far back as we can. We research those people in the 18 and 1700s. How many of us actually look at people who are still living close to us that I know Mary, but we don't really think about our second, third cousins that are out there.
And
it's so it's so important to connect because like Mary has told us before, and we've all found out before, they're the ones that have got the family Bibles. They're the ones that have got
that house repository.
Somebody said something that I wrote down, and I don't know where I wrote it down, but they were talking about meeting family members. Everybody knows something different. It's that
Yes.
when you come together, the picture starts to form. I think that was one of Dan's.
That was pretty.
Yeah, that probably sounds like Dan.
It sounds like Dan. So yeah,
it's a Dan.
And I thought that is so true. We have got to reach out and find those living members and see what they have and what their memories are. They may not have anything, but they've got memories, and their memories are going to be different than your memories. And then you're going to get this whole picture of your grandma or your grandpa, because they knew them, but in a different generation, maybe, or a different time and place in your same grandparents' lives. You know how it is. You have something going on in your house, and you start talking about it, and then nobody's got the same story because they've all got their own perception of what happened. And that's why we should interview everybody.
Everybody. Well, that's how we research.
Yep, that's how we research. I mean, just because your brother's your brother and he knows your grandmother doesn't mean you don't. Brother,
different memories.
I tell brother, listen to me and let me interview you. So make them do that. Team Red.
What was that, Mary?
I'm sorry.
Well, I had a wonderful experience with recently. I was talking with my dad's first cousin. So they were first cousins on the mom's side. So my grandfather was their uncle, not she was just telling me stories about they didn't have a car and my grandfather did, so he would drive them places and sitting in the back seat of my grandfather's car, and he would pretend sneeze and just to get them doing the giggles in back and take his false teeth out to make them laugh. And I never knew my grandfather at all, and it was just so wonderful to hear these stories about what a funny man he was.
That is so cool. So cool. It's so true. We need to get together with family. Team Red, again, he just keeps meeting these cousins, and this time it was a cousin on his mother's side, and she was able to once again give him photos. His mother had been given a certificate. She's got a day named after her.
A resolution.
A resolution, right. I mean, this is a man that came into this race wanting to know what was wrong with him because his mom gave him up and kept his brother. And now he's finding all these redeeming qualities he's hearing about his mother. This has got to be still a little hard, although he seems to be really enjoying these things.
He said he was letting that loose. Last week.
Yeah.
But I
still, but as they were even, the more accolades and the more they talk about a wonderful woman that she was, and she was.
Yeah.
But I can't, in my brain, if I was in his position, I would still be asking the question, well, if she was so wonderful, why did she do this? Or
why did she
We're going to find out. We're going to find out.
We will.
But yeah.
We will.
Well, and I have a completely different feeling on that.
Yeah.
It's obvious a reason, she couldn't take care of him at that time and had to give him up for him to have a better life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because she might not have been the librarian at that time.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
As far as, two librarians at two different libraries.
Yep.
So it's not always that I don't want you.
Yeah.
What's
best for you is
I had to make that choice.
Exactly. And of course, I always love it. I mean, he got a picture of his grandfather.
First
and the name for his grandfather. And what do we see him do? Writing that
out that chart. Yeah.
Pulled out that chart and was able to.
I'm going to do that the next time. I mean, what a beautiful thing. Think of that. When did you ever hand somebody a blank 5-generational chart? And as a new person, and as you go, fill in the names. And then let me know. I want to see that. So I'm excited for that. I love that.
That's really cool.
idea.
I love that too.
That's probably a Dan thing.
It might be. Okay, let's talk about Team Black. JD is just such a nice man. He's just such a nice man. And when he meets his relatives, he's so calm and he's teary and he's crying.
Yeah.
But he's so accepting, and he's just talking about how calm he feels, and he's so kind to his wife, and he's so even when they've had a stressful day.
They're
So
funny too.
they're funny too. Oh, they're absolutely
Yeah,
funny too.
they're funny.
But he got to meet. It was his. I'm looking at
second cousin, wasn't it?
Second,
first or second
First
cousin.
or second.
Yeah, I thought it was first.
Maybe
cousin.
it was first.
And also before they left his sister's house, she gave him all those photos.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful! And he was talking about it was all he could do to get in that car and leave.
But they agreed. The husband said, "We'll meet halfway in a month."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only way he said. That's the only way I'm going to leave. So
yeah.
He's meeting these cousins. He's getting
he gets to see pictures of his dad.
You know what?
And his brother.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Brother's coming, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah. That'll be the first question I'm going to ask Dan.
And they also told him, if this cousin said, I don't know a lot about your dad, but you need to get a hold of his sister, your aunt.
Linda. And I'm thinking, she's got to be coming.
She's got to be coming. They named her and everything.
Yes.
So she's got to be coming. So it was a good day. It was another really, really good day for Team Black. So I like that. I left Team Blue last because I always try to leave they were all emotional, but
that's when we all stopped breathing.
Yes, that's when we all stopped breathing. Exactly.
And the thing of it is, the conversation, I wanted her to say, "Why did she give me up?"
I don't think she
really
could at that point.
No, she couldn't. Not after finding out that she couldn't.
Exactly. It took it all.
Look at Mary. Mary's what?
So Mary,
you
guys.
Agree with me, Mary.
Mary hasn't had a chance to watch it yet. So we're trying to get her reaction. So Mary.
Yes. Tell her what happened.
Anitra walks up to the door. This girl comes out, and of course she says, "Whose relative are you?" And she says, "Anitra, I'm your sister."
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And they just
I love the process.
melded together. They just
I love the processing she goes through.
They just melded together. And they didn't move.
It was actually beautiful.
It was. They didn't move, and they were there. I would like to know if somebody could tell us how much time.
Yeah.
Because they had to cut and go to other things, but every time they'd come back, there they were. They were still. And
Mary, have you seen any of this season?
Yeah, and I watched
so you know Anitra's situation.
Right. Okay. And I was caught up, but I had the wrong time because the show is changed times.
It's okay.
And it used to be on at 6, so I thought I was watching it at 6.
I think it's kind of fun to tell you and get your reaction. I think that's really great.
Anitra finds out that her mother died in 1985.
At the age of
22. Which means her sister didn't get raised by her either. And you could tell she had some animosity about the fact that her sister stayed with her mother and was raised with her, but she didn't get to be raised with her either.
No, she was raised with her grandmother.
You know what I liked about Anitra, and it's something that I think could be a lesson to me, if not everybody, is how she said, I want to take this time to just feel this. How many of us don't take the time to stop and feel things?
Yeah.
And so that was very, very impressive.
I think so too, and I agree with you, because I think if
the processing she goes
we
through
would
that
take that time to stop and feel, I think we would be able to get through things easier, better. Because
but now her whole thing is. But her whole thing now is turned upside down, because we all do this with our own ancestors and our own research. We think things of our ancestors, or we think there's certain ways or whatever until we find out differently. But she has found out in a very dramatic way that her mother died of an accident at work that caused her to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And
at 22.
And her sister had to go be raised by her grandmother. And so all this animosity she kind of had about that, I mean, she didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing of it is, daddy might still be out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they do have the same dad. Wasn't that correct?
Yeah, she asked that question, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
They had the
But her
same
sister
Can't wait to see it.
Her
Yeah,
sister
they're
was
full
so
siblings.
sweet to take the time with her
and
and
just
to
to be
let
quiet.
her.
Yeah.
Yes.
To process that.
Yeah.
She hated that she had to be the one.
Yes, to tell her.
But she's the only one that
Right.
could have told her that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, it will come back up. What was going on? Her mom was so young, and the sister is only 18 months older than her.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering what happened, you know. And again, it might be she just couldn't handle the second child. But she had her for a little bit of time, didn't she?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not real sure. I don't remember.
She went to a foster home, remember, because they sat her in a chair and she wasn't allowed to move.
She wasn't allowed
couldn't
to move.
walk.
Yeah. Right. She couldn't walk.
But she got a picture of her mother.
Yeah.
And she looks just like her mother.
And that's what her sister said.
Yeah.
You look just like her mother.
Absolutely.
It was emotional.
It was very, very emotional. we kind of, because everything was so emotional, we kind of skipped over the challenge.
Oh, that was funny.
That was hilarious.
They had to dress in these big fat sumo wrestler costumes.
Yeah.
And
they're
then
blown up kind.
Yeah.
Big.
So that if you walk and you hit people, you're bouncing. And then
Yeah.
they had to walk across this narrow little line.
Ribbon.
Yeah. And then they had to pick up
sushi
some
with chopsticks.
Sushi with chopsticks.
Yeah.
Come all the way back, and they had to put four in the plate before they were done. Now, interestingly enough, Team Red got a hint about what the challenge would be. Remember, but all they got was
what kind of hint was that?
They gave them chopsticks. It didn't help them at all. Reminds me of the fuzzy black dice that they gave. On season 2.
Well, I will tell you this:
had nothing to do. Didn't help them.
If I was playing that game, I would lose at the very beginning because I can't use chopsticks.
I wouldn't been able to do it either. I'd just been. Can I just use my mouth? Can I just? But it was so funny watching them try to figure that out and bounce around against each other. And as much as the days are stressful and the challenges are stressful, there's so many that are like that are games that have got to just help.
Yeah.
Just loosen up a little bit, get some of that stress out. It's got to. But yeah, that was hysterically
it's frustrating, funny. And I hope Deshay, she's stressed, and we're seeing it now in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So I hope things change for her.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for her.
Oh yeah.
That was a little stressful.
Yeah, it's been and I don't blame her for being stressed. It's a stressful.
No, not at all.
No, it's a stressful.
We're able to see that.
Yeah. Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I can tell you that she is and some of you have seen her messages and things on Facebook and on Twitter and things. She is rooting for all the teams. Is this not the best season? I'm saying as far as collaboration of the teams. And when they at the end of the Skype call tonight, they were all saying, I love you to all the teams. We haven't heard that before. All of them were saying it. So yeah. I just really think
very good episode.
Very good episode. We have to get down to the results. We have to get down to the results. Now the winning team, once again, will get step-by-step directions to the relative's house. Now, it almost didn't work the last time when Team Green had it. They got there, but still the challenge messed them up. And so, who knows if it's going to help or not, but it should shave off a couple of minutes. So, but Team Blue came in first. So Anitra, they had a great day, didn't they? Anitra and Paul, they had a fabulous day. Coming in second was Team Black. And remember, everybody's got a strike so far.
Yeah.
Team Green barely came in third.
Made it.
And then our Team Red, Nicole and Ray came in last place.
They got the strike.
The second strike. So what we need, we love all you teams, but we need each of you now to go through and get a second strike because we don't want team.
We don't want all the teams.
It worked out.
Can you do it for us? Yeah, it's already been done. They can't change it. But because we want as many teams as possible to make it to day 10 because we want to see your stories. I know they get their information, but we want to see the story.
Well, we want to experience
we
it
want to
right with them.
experience it with, and you know, I think they're so brave, these people, to do this, to let it be filmed and let it be. But I think it's because, and we've talked about this before, and the teams have said this before, it's done in such a loving way. It's really done
this season just seems to be a little bit
it's
different.
a big love fest, you know. It really is. The teams really love each other, and I think honestly they're going to be really sad when the first team gets that strike, especially if they don't make it to day 9, so they don't get to share with each other all their relatives. I think they're going to it's going to be a really sad time.
Well, I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
At the end, Dan said that the next day there's going to be something in one of their cars that's going to really, really help them, or what did he say exactly?
Yeah.
To help them?
Yeah, it's going to help them. Yeah, it was going to help them.
So wonder what that is. A cell phone that you can get GPS on.
No, I doubt that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fair, but it's going to be really interesting. They'll probably all get black fuzzy dice. I'm still so bitter that
you were on that black fuzzy.
That Joe,
go back. I'm not remembering.
Joe and Maddie, season 2, won a day 10 benefit. Joe and Maddie Greer won a day 10 benefit, and they gave them fuzzy dice. And it didn't mean anything. It just decorated their car. We went all the way to day 10, hoping. I'm not bitter much. I'm sorry, relative race.
And it was season.
If you're watching this,
there goes your bling.
I'm gonna watch it as soon as we get off of here. I'm going in and I'm watching.
I'm not bitter much.
Season 2. I don't remember.
It was a joke thing. They probably didn't realize the fans would be going, "What? You didn't? It was never really a day 10 benefit."
Was there not a connection to the dice?
Zippo.
I gotta go back and watch that.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and watch it.
I do have something that I noticed.
Okay.
You know, how I noticed.
No, you're
things.
good. You're good at noticing these
when
things.
JD was putting those pictures in his photo album with his sister, did you notice in one of the pictures he looked like he was wearing shoulder pads like a football player?
Well, he was. He coaches.
Yeah, but why would he have been wearing them with his sister? Maybe that was the brother.
That's
no, it was him. You go back and watch. Okay. He's wearing like shoulder pads. He's holding but it's not like football. It's almost like hockey gloves
Maybe
or something.
Maybe they had some equipment in the house and they've been messing around.
But that was with him with his sister. So I saw that and I went, well, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll bet you maybe she has kids. Maybe they went out and did some stuff, or grandkids, and it just didn't make.
That's something I noticed.
So observant. You are so observant. See, this is why we need all of us.
I thought it was
we
two brothers.
We all catch different things.
Yeah,
well, they did show a picture of them when they were right. But no, this one is with JD and his sister, and he is wearing the shoulder pads over his black T-shirt.
Cool.
That's probably football pads.
I'll look for it.
Yeah,
that's the football pads. Yeah, because both he and his brother, who he has not met, are both coaches.
I knew that, but why would he do that at her house?
Yeah, they must have been doing something.
Well, she knows the brother, right?
Yeah, they must have been doing some, or the brother had showed up.
But she knows the brother.
And they couldn't. I know, and they couldn't show that. Nah,
I wonder. See, that's what I'm doing. I'm thinking, trying to think why that did.
Well, plus remember, she said, "I have 3 brothers." And we have 1.
Well, that's true. Right. Maybe some other family came over. Maybe they had a little game of something in the backyard.
I think brothers lurking around.
Their brothers lurking around. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and all you fans, relative race fans. We're going to have to take a week or so off to be able to talk about GenFriends, because I'm heading to Roots Tech London tomorrow.
Yay.
And so we won't be able to meet next Monday night. I'm hoping that maybe I can just watch the episode on the plane on the way back on the app. Maybe I can do something like that, because it's on. I looked. It was at 1 o'clock in the morning England time when it came on. So I won't be watching it live, that's for sure. But we will catch up. We will we'll catch up with the episode I'll miss while I'm there, and then talk about. We'll just do two in one night. So
that sounds good.
Sounds good. So
wave to my relatives when you pass over Kent, England. It's about an hour from London. They're still there. There's some of them still there.
All righty.
Yes.
I will be doing that. So we are grateful for our wonderful panel tonight, and we're grateful for those of you that take the time to watch. We really, really appreciate it, and we'd like for you to remember to subscribe. Just hit that little button and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And we really enjoy your comments, and we'd like to hear what you thought about the different things that went on, especially on these genealogy TV shows. What was your take? What did you think when you found out that Gary was looking for a daughter? And what did you think when Anitra met her sister? Some really emotional stuff. What about, when Chris met his cousin that had never met a biological family member before? Has that ever happened to you? Let us know how this show's affecting you. We would really like to hear your comments. So we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.